Ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Big Raj, and we have a special show tonight talking about The Undertaker and his career on the A&E Biography that came out tonight. We're going to definitely, touch on some things that we liked about it, touch on some things that we didn't like about it. Plus, you tell us what you think about the A&E documentary. Also, we have some WWE news. And does Vince McMahon deserve to be gone from the company? We will touch into that on today's wonderful show on the Flex Zone podcast. So stay tuned as we come to you very, very soon. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Big Raj. Great show tonight that's coming towards you. The topic of tonight is The Undertaker, his biography on A&E. I know Dre is a huge fan over here. Lamar's a huge fan. But I'm hosting tonight. I'm doing the hosting duties. Byron is off tonight. He's been killing it as usual, doing this thing. But tonight, Big Raj is coming to you with some wonderful, wonderful topics. So let's get it started. We have the man on the over here. Introduce yourself, my good brother, and let us know where you coming from.
What's going on, good people? I'm the man with 1,000 t-shirts, also known as, I guess, the right-hand man at times, but I'm a good friend of a good family member of the Flex Zone podcast. Make it do what it do.
All right, and we, of course, I'm not going to give you that ridiculous intro that Byron gives you all the time, but I will say, since you're a fellow Cancer and a brethren that has a birthday coming up very, very soon, I'm going to say LaAndre Melton, the Undertaker fan, the one that loves to live in a coffin at times, the one that's always out at night doing this thing on Friday nights, letting the people, live it up at karaoke night. Tell us, brother, your whereabouts and your thing.
All right, shout out to the Flex Zone, my good Cancer brother over here. Of course, the right-hand man, my family member in the house. We the ones, of course. But yes, I am a creature of the night, so I'm excited about this episode particularly. So let's get to it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna start off with you, Lamar. What are your thoughts on this? Hold up, time out. There we go. What are your thoughts on this WWE produced Undertaker biography so far? What are your early thoughts?
It amazes me to see where it all began for the dead man himself, and everything he did to get where he is, and where he has been in this industry itself, and it's very interesting because I didn't know he accomplished a lot of. What's the word I'm looking for? I didn't know he'd been through a lot of stipulations and trials and tribulations outside of WWE, along with being in the business itself.
Okay.
I'm liking it so far, though. So.
Let me ask you a quick question. What is something that you didn't know that you've learned tonight?
Well, one thing I did not know is how he always had his attires, different attires, and how they were all made differently.
Okay.
Because every time I saw his entrance, they were never the same. So. That's one thing I actually did. I'm glad I learned about and how they were custom made and everything and the material. Because he's a very very tall wrestler, and it's hard to fit let alone big, but big and tall. It's hard to fit a tall wrestler when it comes to clothing. So that's something I learned.
Okay. Okay. Trey, I'm gonna ask you the same question, man. What are your early thoughts on this biography, and what is something that you didn't know that you've learned about the Undertaker tonight, even though you're a huge fan?
Wow. When you talk about the Undertaker, I mean, this is the epitome for me for professional wrestling, because without the Undertaker, I'm not a fan of professional wrestling. He's the first superstar I saw when I first watched the WWE, and then WWF, and have just been a fan ever since. And it just amazes me sometimes when you still learn things about people who you've just idolized and have watched over the years. I think A&E did a really good job on this documentary, as they've done other documentaries too with other WWE superstars. But I think for the 2 hours that they had, I think overall it was a very good documentary. I think the one thing that stood out to me that I didn't know about Undertaker was I knew that he was in WCW, and I knew his contract was coming up, and that's when he made the jump to WWE. Excuse me, but I did not know that he was told that nobody would pay to see him, and I thought that was very shocking to me that somebody would tell him that, because of his size, his athleticism. Um, because I mean, one thing that stands out about the Undertaker is that for a man to be that big and that agile is just something you just don't see. So, like right now, they have the WWE rivals going on, and you have Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. So you expect guys of that stature to be able to move around quicker and faster. But I mean, for a man to be about 6'10", over 300 pounds, and he's moving like these guys, and for him to be told that nobody's going to pay to see you, only for I mean WWE and Vince McMahon to get the Undertaker, get the vision, and then be able to make the character last. Like Paul Heyman said, I mean, he was going down the list. He was talking about, he said like John Cena lasted a decade. Stone Cold, The Rock, they've only had like basically sprinkles, and these are legends in the game. But this is one of the reasons that when you ask me why of who is on my Mount Rushmore, I instantly always say The Undertaker, because yes, John Cena was able to last all those years and carry the company on his back, but The Undertaker himself, to be still a known character, and then I mean, people who don't even watch wrestling, they know who The Undertaker is. And it's a character that can still make an appearance, and you're gonna tune in, you're gonna watch, you're gonna stand up in the arena, because he just commands that much respect. And to be able to have that character last all those years, and even if he no, it doesn't matter what match he's on, you want to see it. So I think that's one of the reasons that he's still, to me, one of the greatest characters of all time. But to be able to, just that extra fuel of why he was able to go so hard, now I understand it more.
All right. I'm gonna say this. My thoughts on it are this. I thought that it was a well-produced documentary for him. I love the way that they had, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, Bruce Pritchard, a lot of the guys that work with him, talk about him, and talk about his work ethic, and how they thought, of course, Paul Heyman, of course, of how he became the Undertaker, and his trials and tribulations in the late '80s. I didn't know he did. I didn't know he had his first match 2 days after I was born. That's crazy, man. June 26th, he came out with the mask, and with Paul Bear, but he wasn't called Paul Bear back then. But I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that his mother hated the character.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that she almost injured. She injured herself trying to help him out against Sid Vicious in one of the matches. I thought that was hilarious. Of course, they showed Michelle McCool and his relationship with his wife now, but he talked about the times that he had to miss out on all of his kids. Coming, going throughout the business. I thought that was very interesting. I'm so glad he talked about the Mick Foley Hell in a Cell match in '98. Because we didn't get to, he didn't actually talk about it at his Hall of Fame speech. I think he glossed over it. He missed that part. But in this documentary, they went in depth about it. So I was glad to see that. I was glad they talked about the streak as well. I thought the streak, you know what, man? Looking back at it, I hated it, and to this day, I still hate it. But watching that, I man, I know this for a fact. Undertaker hates that thing, man. Look, just looking at it overall, he didn't want to say the wrong thing. He didn't want to go against Vince. I know he didn't want to go against Vince, and just hearing all the backstage politics of, oh no, you're gonna win, and then when he told Michael Hayes, oh, they got me, I'm gonna lose. I could deep down inside, I know he hated every bit of that. It was very disgusting for him, and just the reaction after he lost was like, I lost the streak. I really lost. I thought that's it. I thought they had a lot of stuff to it, but overall, it was a good documentary. I enjoyed it, and I gotta say the one thing. Well, I said plenty of stuff that I didn't know, but I thought it was good, man. I thought I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the fact that the Undertaker is probably the best character ever made in WWE, the best character hands down that Vince has ever made.
I ain't mean to interrupt, but we also have another huge Undertaker fan in the building over here too.
Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, I grew up watching him. So one thing I learned that I didn't know is that I didn't know that he had 4 other siblings. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I watched him since I was a kid. I mean, I remember the Paul Bearer and all that stuff, because my father was a big wrestling fan. So the Undertaker was always really exciting to see because of his entrance and the special effects that he would have, and the way he would have his eyes looking with the contact lenses or whatever he used.
When he took off his hat.
And and then did all of his signature moves, the tombstone and putting people in a casket, that was wrestling.
Well, what about the streak? Do you have anything to say about the streak too?
Oh, the streak as far as when he lost?
All the way up until when he lost.
Yeah, I mean, well, everybody has their day where they're not, they don't win something, but I think that The Undertaker is still one of the best wrestlers there has ever been since even WWE.
About the streak, one thing I wish that they would have had in the documentary is either Paul Heyman or Brock Lesnar himself speak about it, because I mean that was a pivotal moment for the career of Brock Lesnar. Because I agree. I think deep down inside, yeah, Undertaker wanted to do what's best for business, but he probably hated losing. However, I mean, and there were moments when Undertaker said that he didn't mind losing to some people. Like there was the rumor about Kurt Angle. There was the rumor about Kane. He didn't mind giving up the streak. So I think that it didn't affect him as much. But I think once you start being 21, it's like, wow, he really should have probably retired undefeated. But I mean, honestly, that propelled Brock Lesnar to who he is today. Because if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar beating the streak, then there is no Beast. I mean, it was 2 years before somebody had even pinned or made Brock Lesnar submit, and that was right after the streak. Because remember, once he beat the streak, that's when the Beast comes out. He wins the World Heavyweight Championship, and he goes on to dominate John Cena and the person who beat him will be the next person up, who is Bill Goldberg, A&E's next documentary.
Well, let me go through some of these comments. What's going on, Crenny? Glad you was able to stop through tonight. Boy BKE is in the comment section. The man with 1,000 nicknames versus the man with 1,000 t-shirts should main event SummerSlam because it is truly a summer scam. Only you, Byron. Y'all should do a weekly after each 8 in each shill fest. I mean biography. I mean, we'll think about it.
We'll see.
And of course, no, but of course, Tony Khan is in the building, baby. Tony Khan, TK is in the building, baby. Mia's not on tonight. TK, she'll be back on Wednesdays. She'll be back on your program, AEW Dynamite. So, she'll be back. But I just want to say this, man. Yes, Undertaker is a fantastic character. I'm so glad that, he reminds me of, like, as a child growing up, we had a lot of our heroes back then. We had guys like, like Michael Jordan, like Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, growing up. And straight legend, you know what I'm saying? Straight Hulk Hogan of the world, and Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. The Undertaker, man, has always been like the most scariest dude I ever imagined, growing up, bro. I mean, even as a little kid, bro, I was mesmerized by him, especially when I was playing with him on the video games back then.
I still do to this day.
It was amazing, bro. He was definitely an athlete of athletes, bro. So when he was in WCW and they told him that he was never going to be a star, I thought that was crazy. I thought they was wilding, but I mean, of course, he was another tall dude that didn't really have a gimmick. They didn't, as Paul Heyman said, they didn't create one. So, but once Vince actually took the meeting with the Undertaker, and he sat down with him, he spent 4 hours with him, just talking to the man himself. I mean, that was a match made in heaven, pretty much, for the Undertaker's career. A match made in heaven. So, special kudos to Vince for that. Special kudos to Bruce Pritchard. And definitely special kudos to Paul Bearer and Glenn Jacobs for making The Undertaker one of the, greatest wrestling characters and having one of the greatest story arcs in all of wrestling history. I mean, you can't get no better than the Undertaker story. From when he first came out with Ted DiBiase, and to the fact that he wrestled like damn near everybody and straight whooped their ass at WrestleMania. To the fact that he had the BSK crew. I mean, I didn't know what BSK meant until this documentary. I didn't know that he was a part of Yokozuna, The Godfather, Rikishi, and
it was the Godwins, Yokozuna, Rikishi, The Godfather, Paul Bearer, and Savio Vega and Crush.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that either. That part I didn't know. So I'm glad they explained that. That was one of his tattoos that he had on that BSK. So I thought that was pretty dope. To the fact that they had an actual storyline with of course with Kane, his brother, and how they tied that in with the Undertaker. When he first came out, he was Kane the Undertaker. So I thought that was amazing how they tied all that together. And to the fact that after that, he changed his gimmick up just a little bit to be the American Badass in the early 2000s, but still remaining the Undertaker. I was like, wow, that is fantastic. So, I mean, all in all, man, he had the perfect story arc. I think he's like a Marvel character for real. Maybe he was Thanos before Thanos. You know what I'm saying? It's just amazing, bro. And the fact that he was probably Vince McMahon's greatest creation ever just tops it all off as well.
Let me ask this then, because in the documentary they said that rivalry echoes like Stone Cold, Vince McMahon as far as like WWE and the longevity of that storyline. Um, how do you how do you agree with that comparison?
Say it again. I'm distracted by Byron's goofy comments. I'm sorry. Say that again. I'm
Byron.
sorry, Trey. I'm
I
sorry.
was asking because right after after the biography, they have WWE rivals. So I
Right,
was
right.
asking, does they were making the comparison about Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin as far as rivals and longevity. Do you think that the Undertaker and Kane should be in that conversation of greatest rivalries when it comes to WWE? And they said that that's probably if not the greatest one, that's probably number two.
Bro, the Undertaker made a whole career with Kane.
Yeah, he did. I
He,
was gonna say the same thing.
he made a whole career with him. That is one of the greatest rivals, period, in
Yep.
WWE history. If it wasn't for the Undertaker, there would be no Kane. Literally,
Nope.
there would be no Kane. Undertaker was the Undertaker before Kane.
Yeah.
So when Kane came along, he just added to the Undertaker, and the matches that he had, and to becoming the Brothers of Destruction along the line.
Then you had to bury the live matches and everything else
Right,
along with it.
right. The Buried Alive matches and everything else with it. It just added on to the Undertaker's aura. So I mean, yes, they should be on. If it's a match, it should be on a Mount Rushmore of rivals. Yes, they definitely
Yeah.
should be. So and Paul Bear tying that all together made it beautiful as well too.
And I
What?
always thought it was funny when it was shortly before Undertaker retired and Elias was on the WWE and he
Bruh.
was talking about if I hear one more time about somebody being a dead man, they're gonna or interrupt me, they're gonna be a dead
Gong.
man, and then you heard the gong. That was funny. Here comes
I mean,
Undertaker, and you should every time he came out there,
I'm not gonna lie.
the other people's faces would just drop like they saw a ghost or something.
I was one of them. It was like, oof.
I mean,
Yeah,
they did say that in the documentary, just like when you just like hear it, it's just like it's just
Tuning
this.
you rest in peace.
It's
I'm
just so
dead.
cool to for him to come out. I mean, and once you experience it, it's like just awing. Because the arena actually does get colder. I mean, and then to see
The
the
fog.
fog and the lights and you're hearing it, you're like, wow, this is like really actually like this is dope. Um, Now with his rivals, we talk about Kane, but I mean he has some other rivals too, like Mankind. I mean, and there were other people along the way. I mean, the Shawn Michaels is, so where do you feel like who do you feel is Undertaker's greatest rival? Is it Kane? Is it Mankind? I mean, who is it?
it's a toss between Kane and it's a toss between Mankind. But my favorite match has got to be with Mankind. Nothing.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say Edge for a second.
No.
That's what I was about to say. Like I was going to say, I know he's had a lot of history with Mankind and Kane, but I love it when it's Edge versus Undertaker. No matter how many matches they've had together or the stipulation, I gotta give Edge and Undertaker.
And you were saying Rogers for you is Mankind.
Yes, it's Mankind because of the Hell in a Cell match, man. We have never seen nothing like that before. I mean, no, granted, we saw a triple. I mean, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in the Hell in a Cell, and that was a fantastic match. It destroyed Shawn Michaels' back, but I mean, for a period of years, but it was a fantastic match. But nothing rivals that '98 Hell in a Cell, man. Nothing rivals that, bro. I mean that. I mean they showed the highlights of it. Mankind, flying off of the Hell in a Cell,
Onto the
flying
table.
through the Hell in a Cell. The damn packs coming out. JR's going crazy. The King not knowing what's going on. People were legitimately afraid that this man was dead in the ring. A lot of these times, bro. So
It always kills me to where everybody thinks Undertaker's down and he'll just like rise up and give him that evil look and like it's just I don't know. Every match he's had, I'd say is the best one in his whole entire career.
well, yeah, that's to me that's what made the Undertaker. He was already great, but it took him to a whole nother level. And then the matches that he had with Edge and with Shawn Michaels and
Yep.
with Triple H took him to another stratosphere as well. Even with Brock Lesnar, even when Brock Lesnar beat him for the streak, I thought that was a good match. So I think every match before and after Mankind, man, was took him to like the stratosphere of wrestling legends.
Even with some of the people he's had to go against recently, like Roman, or just he has a whole list of competitors he's gone against, and
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles.
Oh yeah, that was a great match.
He's made pay-per-views and posters and cover boards of everything would be so unique. It's not even funny.
Most definitely.
Everybody has that match, and for the Undertaker in his WWE career, that it probably is the match for him. As far as like the standout matches, and then of course, what Byron said in the comments, the Undertaker versus HBK at WrestleMania 25, arguably the greatest match of all time. I mean, prior to that, everybody always had Savage and Steamboat at WrestleMania 3 as the standard match. But when you see Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, I mean, that is probably the greatest match. And I would definitely love to have heard Ricky Steamboat's comment, like his thoughts about that match, because he's still here, and unfortunately Macho Man Randy Savage isn't here to comment. But I would definitely love that. That's something I would have definitely liked to see in the documentary, his thoughts about that as well, whether or not he thinks that's the greatest match, and on some other people too, because they think that that's the greatest match of all time. It's always those two when it comes to not only WrestleMania matches but just matches period, because you have two definitely conflicting maneuvers of people. I mean, you have this big, tall, agile man, but then you have this speedy, but like real angelic. Like, I mean, when I talk about Shawn Michaels and how he maneuvers in the ring, and for them to be able to tell that story, and then I mean they had back-to-back matches, which were both classics. But of course, that WrestleMania 25 match is the one that always stands out to people the most.
Most definitely. Let me get y'all closing thoughts on this, and we got one more topic to cover. I gotta cover this topic with you tonight, Dre. Gotta get y'all thoughts about this, but let's get our final thoughts of this documentary, and then we'll move on to bigger fish. But anyway, Lamar, final thoughts on the documentary.
I think it was one of the best documentaries that I've seen, and hopefully they'll expand on it. And because he is one of the greatest of all time, he always will be one of the greatest of all time. But I enjoyed watching every bit of the documentary till the end.
Okay. And Dre?
I think that A&E did a good documentary for the time period that they had. I mean, like I said, I just wish that there were some things that they had went a little more in depth about, but it gave a great backstory. And I think that that's something that we really don't get too much on The Undertaker. And I think that the more and more he does these documentaries, like when he was doing The Last Ride, that he did this A&E biography, I think that I think that honestly is very, very telling. And I like that Byron put in there AJ Styles, because when you think about The Undertaker, does he really have bad matches? We talk about AJ Styles having pretty much having phenomenal matches every time he steps into the ring. But I mean, kudos and hats off to The Undertaker as well, because it's really rare that he has a bad match. I mean, you mentioned Goldberg, you mentioned the Great Khali, but I mean, Undertaker was still able to even make those situations work. I mean, especially the Great Khali match, he made that work. The Goldberg match, you could just tell he was pissed because that wasn't Undertaker status. It's like perfection when he gets into the ring, because he wants the best of the best. And I think that that's what made him who he is over 30 plus years.
I agree with you, Dre. I think they could have done some more things with The Undertaker. They could have made it a little bit longer, but I mean, we did have like a 4-part, I think, WWE, I think with documentary sometime last year on the network, before the network went down, I believe, or Peacock or something like that. They did it with The Undertaker before he retired.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some more things they're gonna have with the Undertaker that's coming out.
They're doing a table for three special with some of the members of BSK, so I think that'll be pretty cool. So and he's I believe he's also doing like a podcast on the WWE Network. I'm sorry, on
Oh,
on with WWE. So I mean, we're gonna get more and more exposure about who he is. We're gonna get more and more exposure about not only the Undertaker but about the man Mark Holloway as well.
All right, well, Byron had a question for you, so I'm gonna let you answer that.
I feel like that's it's one of those myths that unfortunately we never got to see, and it sucks because it's like Kobe LeBron in the finals where it should have happened but it never did happen, and I wish on everything Sting would have just taken the chance to just do it because we finally could have gotten that match and we never got that match and unfortunately never will. But I mean, what a match it would have been had we been able to get Undertaker Sting, and that's just I wish that's something that needs to be covered too, because as far as like matches we haven't been able to see with the Undertaker, I think this is probably the number one out of all wrestling fans' minds as to why we never got to see Undertaker and Sting. And I think we know why the moments, but I mean, just to get like those thoughts in the documentary would have been pretty cool to tell as well.
Definitely agree. But let's move on to a little bit more WWE news. Um, First up, Sasha Banks has officially been taken off of WWE everything. So she's officially gone from the company. Lamar, what are your thoughts?
I mm, I wish they did. I wish it kind of did gave her better use, but I mean, she'll always be a WWE diva, even though she's gonna probably go to AEW. So I'll still support her wherever she goes. I think they could have did better things with her, but I didn't like how they just wasted good talent.
She's not the first, and she won't be the last.
Nope.
Unfortunately, I mean, everybody knows how I feel about the boss. That's my girl. I love me some Bianca Belair, but there's nothing like some Sasha Banks.
Nope.
I'm definitely gonna miss seeing her, and I would love to see her one day return to a WWE ring. It just sucks that this is how they parted ways, because I think that when it comes to, like, they talk about the four horsewomen, but I mean Sasha Banks,
I
her
think she
and
made the first.
Charlotte are the ones that always stand out to me. I know they try to push Becky Lynch and they try to push Bayley, but I think that um, that's the one that just is like, come on now, like we should be getting, um, we should be having. Um, Sasha Banks needs to be in the WWE ring, because to me, Sasha and Charlotte, there's just no comparison. Like I said, I love Bianca Belair, but I think those two, Sasha and Charlotte, are definitely the backbones of the women's division. And gotta give our flowers also to Natalia as well.
I agree with y'all. I think, but I think Sasha Banks had to make a choice. This is not the first time that she has left. Well, she's been fired now, but this ain't the first time that she went on hiatus from the company. Uh, it's been a plenty of times where she's had disgruntled, I think, meetings with Vince and a lot of disagreements with him. And I just think it came to a sense where she just felt unappreciated and not, you know, I mean, not that she wasn't, being not one of the top stars there, but it comes a time where you have to be like, look, man, um, what do you have for me? What is there for me to do? And I think when they put her and Naomi in the tag team, and the storyline or whatever they was trying to do didn't make any sense. It just is like, all right, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this. I've suggested this. I asked for this, and then they give me something else, and then they do something else with me, and then yeah, I mean and it's like I said, it's not the first time that we heard this type of talk with other WWE superstars. A lot of people are disgruntled there from time to time, and they leave and they go other places. So I think Sasha gave a lot of great time with the WWE, especially in NXT and some of her earlier reigns as a WWE Women's Champion. I thought she did a great job when her and Bailey were tag team champions a couple of years ago. I thought that was a great thing that they did before she
Her
went on
first Hell in a
hiatus.
Cell match and everything too.
Mhm.
Yeah, the first Hell in a Cell match was fantastic. And the fact that she was able to be on the Mandalorian, and branch out from WWE to do other things, I thought was good as well. So her time really wasn't wasted there. It's just the fact that
They
they're
just
not
didn't
saying
know what to do. They just didn't
they
know
don't
what
know
to do with her. So,
right. They weren't building like legit storylines around her. Maybe like the last storyline they built was with her and Bianca Belair. I thought that was a great storyline.
but
But
I agree
other
with Ray. Like
It just sucks that didn't happen.
Charlotte and Sasha definitely made. I think they were the reason the four horsewomen, have gotten to that level of accomplishments and competition.
right,
Exactly.
but it's just something about somebody to eat us. Just like ain't right. So I mean, hats off to her. I'm glad that she's going to be able to do what she wants to do. She finally changed her Twitter handle. She changed her Twitter handle from being a WWE superstar to just being a professional wrestler now. So
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is, first it was Nia Jax, now it's Sasha. Who's next?
who's next?
Oh my gosh.
That's the biggest question. But in the biggest news of WWE right now, this just came out. This is fresh on the press. Everybody's favorite owner of the WWE, Vince McMahon, has gotten himself into some more hot water. I believe more accusations have come out against him. He's been paying off more just than one more women employees have been paid off from what I've been hearing, and it's not really a good look for the company. He had to step down, gave the power to Stephanie to run the company, but he's still playing a background role as creative. But Lamar, tell me, what do you think about this latest Vince McMahon debacle of news that is coming right now?
I think he's he just needs to leave it up. I don't even know the word. It's crazy. But he claims he knows what he's doing, and then I don't think he does. He's
Well,
just
they said that uh, well when he came out on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, he said in the backstage that he didn't give a he said F him to I think was it Bleacher Report and all the other reports that came out about him and his activities. He said F him. He didn't really he didn't he said when all the smoking stuff is clear, his name is going to be cleared and everything is going to be okay. But of course, since then, more accusations have came out against him. So
I think he needs to just give everything to Stephanie and Triple H. Honestly, let them handle let them handle everything.
That should have probably happened years ago, but
Because he's being goofy.
He's just he's an old man who's stuck in his ways. But I mean, at the same time, can you blame him? I mean, this is all he has known his entire life. I mean, the man brought the company from his father. He is professional wrestling. I mean, we call Seth Rollins the visionary, but Vince McMahon honestly is the visionary. I mean, like
He's
they
the
said in the
visionary
Undertaker
behind the
documentary,
visionary.
like they said in the Undertaker documentary, without probably the only longest reigning person that you could think of in the wrestling world is Vince McMahon, because without Vince McMahon, he got rid of the territories and he put professional wrestling on the map as far as making it a mainstream item. So, WWE is a public traded company because of Vince McMahon's vision. So I don't blame him overall for giving it up. Maybe, like I said, maybe he should have, because there's a lot of things that the WWE could be doing moving forward. Um, but I mean, when you talk about comparisons, I mean, you got
Facts.
like Deshaun Watson right now with his accusations. You got Vince McMahon. I mean, there are so many accusations. So uh, we still have to get all the details. But I knew that there would be other women coming forward and making other accusations. I knew that was going to happen once the first one came out. So I think it's just a wait and see at this point. But Vince has already stepped down from some of those duties since it is a public trading company. And like I said, we'll see what happens because we still need to get all the details and everything forward. But I think that the one thing I didn't like though that Vince did was when he came out on SmackDown, and I think he came out on Raw one time too, and it was like this was pointless. He just really came out and he basically just said like this, welcome to SmackDown or welcome to Monday Night Raw, and I was just like,
He was telling us about
you,
John Cena when
you
we
did,
already knew Cena was going to return.
yeah, you didn't address it at all. Like that was we thought that was the purpose, and then he came out in character. I was like,
I think he's lost his
dude,
mojo.
like if you're gonna address it, address it. Like, but don't. This is your company. You can come out and speak about this, not introduce whatever hometown this is, or just say that you're Vince McMahon. We already know that. I want to know, like, is this true? How are you going to fight it? Like, what are you going to do? Because it's different from a Deshaun Watson situation where you're fighting legal cases and you can't really say anything. Apparently these are all settlement cases that he can speak upon because this is his company.
I think he needs to be an NFL football coach, but that's just me.
He needs to be a coach.
Well, he's goofy. I mean,
This ain't
you don't know
the
what he's
next
doing. Like, he just needs to quit.
No, all right. These are my thoughts. This has been a long time coming, honestly. I mean, this man has gotten away with a lot of things over the years, and whether if it's true or not, I'm just saying, man, we all know it is time for Vince to go. It's time for Vince to step down. It's time for Vince to allow Stephanie and Triple H to run the company. I didn't like the fact that he appointed Nick Khan of all people to. I mean, wait, don't get me wrong. Nick Khan is great as far as business wise, but as far as everything else, nah, man, not a good look. And the stuff with him over the years, with all the accusations about him treating certain wrestlers a certain way in the steroid era, and all the stuff that went on with Jimmy Snuka and Owen Hart and Chris Benoit, all that stuff, man. To now you're getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar with paying off these female employees, and having them in suites and paying them millions and millions of dollars to keep their mouth shut. I mean, Vince, this is no longer 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000. This is 2022, bro. And the fact that we live in this type of age where you can get caught doing a whole bunch of goofy stuff, like Dre said, the Deshaun Watsons of the world, plenty of other men have went to jail, the R. Kellys, the Bill Cosbys. Bro, you got to know better, man. You have to know better by now. And it's just a horrible look. It really is. It's a horrible look for him. He was supposed to have a Netflix documentary come out this year. They already did. Their past. They did everything so far for it. They interviewed everybody. They were in post production, and now they canceled the whole damn documentary because of this. Now maybe it might come out later on, maybe next year, maybe a year after that. Who knows? But as far as right now, it's been at Spot Netflix, so I'm not sure if we're going to get it or not. But it's not a good look, man. And for him to come out like you said, Dre, on SmackDown and Raw, and then just act like nothing is going on, he's just. I mean, he's acting like this is a steroid era, like it's the 90s again. Like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter, it's whatever. Yeah. I mean, like, bro, I wouldn't be saying anything right now, I promise you. I would literally go away and not say anything and just be quiet and chill out, play the background role. When he continues to be in the spotlight, continues to, do his Vince McMahon walk or whatever. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know. These are accusations. but it's still not a good look for the company. It's still not a good look for him personally. And to be honest, in my opinion, my personal opinion, I don't think these people are lying. I really don't. I don't think these people are lying. I said for years that I think something's going on with Vince McMahon behind the scenes. It's more to it than what he shows on camera. It's more to it than what you see in the media and what you see behind the screen. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people love him, and a lot of people respect him. But I mean, come on, bro. I mean, we done seen some questionable storylines over the years, bro.
Yeah, the storylines he's put together is just, it's been weird and pointless.
Especially in the early 2000s, we seen some silly things with Vince. So I wouldn't put it past him to do something like this in real life. I wouldn't put it past him. But
I just wonder who these people are sometimes too. Like,
oh, trust me, it's going to come out. Yes, you're going to hear who it is. It might get even worse than this. I mean, if you thought Deshaun Watson was bad, this might get ugly. This is only the beginning of it so far.
Well, what are the accusations? Is it that so is it more than him just cheating on his wife? Is it?
Yeah,
it's more to it than just
it's real. We're talking about like sexual
okay, so we're going with the Me Too movement. We're going with where he's been over abusing his power with other women.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes,
pretty much.
So this is going to get more goofy than Deshaun Watson.
And I'm not surprised because of his persona that he carries anyway. I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised.
That bop.
Well, it's not even that. It's just his demeanor. You know that you can just see that there's something up with him. Maybe that's why some of these women that were wrestlers left the company too. How do we know that he didn't? There's more to it, like Nia Jax.
Yep.
I mean, come on! All of a sudden now your star performer is gone. Like, why, Vince?
Well, I will say, with Nia Jax, I don't think he would try that. And the only reason I say that is because of like The Rock and being that's like his cousin. Like she was really, really protected. So I don't think he would make any I don't think her name would be along the list.
Do you think
because of that factor? Do you think also with the same thing with Sasha Banks? I don't think he would try anything sexually with Sasha Banks being Snoop Dogg. Being that Snoop Dogg is the cousin, I don't think that.
Do you think? What about Naomi? Since we're talking about bloodlines now, because
no. I don't think Naomi's another one who's not on the list because why would you do that? Why would you do that? And Roman Reigns and the Usos are like they're basically WWE right now. So that would be Vince McMahon is a smart businessman at the end of the day. He had to do what he had to do to get WWE to where it is today. So I don't think that those names come out. But would it surprise me if you talked about some women in the past, maybe along the lines of maybe
Sunny?
Somebody like a
Sunny or a Sable?
Sunny. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, maybe in the past Sable, but not now Sable.
No. Oh hell no.
But yeah, those are the names who I would have thought about. Maybe like a Trish Stratus or something like that. Those are the type of women who I would think would be the ones of this lawsuit.
Yeah, so I mean, like we'll see. It's still an ongoing story. I'm pretty sure some more news about him will come out. Hopefully, I don't want him to be caught up in this mess. Hopefully, it is just fluff. But personally, I don't think it is. But I mean, we'll see what happens, man, with him. I must say, it's been a wonderful night, fellas. A great documentary by The Undertaker. Some WWE news, of course. And also, we got a preview tomorrow's show. So, Dre, tell us who we got coming on the show tomorrow. And let us know where you can find us at, man.
Man, you can always catch us every Monday at 10 p.m. right here on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe if you have not already. We have a very special guest tomorrow, my man Cordell will be in the building tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Orioles. We're going to talk about the Ravens. And we also have our top 10 NBA all-time list currently. So make sure you stay tuned right there for that, for another can't miss episode of the Flex Zone.
Lamar, tell them where you can find. Well, Lamar, tell us about where you usually will be at on the Flex Zone.
Well, I'm always waiting around 10 p.m., but I hop on whenever I see you guys live and in action, and I always come through and show some love and everything. So wherever you can find me, you can find the missus in the same location. Because we the ones. So.
Well, we usually find you on Wednesday nights with Byron doing AEW.
Find me on Wednesday nights or pay-per-views.
Or pay-per-views, definitely.
Every month.
So I must say we appreciate both of you guys. Guys have been with us since day one. Y'all the day ones. So we definitely appreciate both of you guys always. And this is pretty much going to be the end of the show. So I must say I appreciate you, Dre, hopping on, man. Know you've been busy. Know you've been doing your thing. So I'm glad that we was able to do something special for the Undertaker tonight and have some WWE talk like we used to do back in the day. So it's always a good thing. Can't wait till tomorrow's show with Cordell. And also can't wait to chop it up about the NBA as well. So everybody who enjoyed the show, appreciate you guys. But the show is a wrap, so get that music real quick. I want to thank everybody that's joined in, chatted, Bob, definitely. My man Freddie, had a word to say. Of course, TK, baby. Always control the hell out of it. So it is what it is. Another Flex Zone, I'm call it a Flex Zone wrestling thing that we do sometimes. See you guys tomorrow night for episode 349.
Oh, 349. Yeah, I couldn't hear what you had said. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Episode 349. Come to you at 10 p.m. tomorrow. So check us out. Anyways, for Lamar, for Dre, y'all out, baby. Peace.
Rest.